In the mid-1800s, long before electricity even lit the streets of Europe, a little-known visionary named Charles Babbage sat hunched over endless sheets of parchment, sketching impossible machines. He was obsessed with a question no one else dared to ask: could information itself be engineered, stored, and transmitted the way we handle steam or coal? His friends called him eccentric, even dangerous. But in the quiet of his study, surrounded by gears, brass, and the faint smell of oil, Babbage described something extraordinary: a vast network of engines that would one day link humanity together in ways the world could barely imagine. This was not the fantasy of a novelist. Babbage, the man who designed the first mechanical computer, believed that one day every home could have access to a machine that stored books, ideas, and even conversations, shared instantly across continents. He called it the Great Utility, a global exchange of thought. To the Victorians, it sounded like lunacy. The telegraph had just been born, photography was in its infancy, and here was a mathematician talking about a planetary web of knowledge. At dinner parties, he would lean across the table and describe to startled guests a future where a merchant in London could send a message, not in days or weeks, but in moments, to a banker in Bombay. He wrote of a society transformed by invisible threads of communication, where no king, church, or government could silence the flood of ideas. To a world still ruled by empire and monarchy, this was more than radical. It was dangerous. Historians now say Babbage's ideas were so precise that his notebooks eerily foreshadow the internet itself, nearly a century and a half before the first computer network ever came online. He described a system of engines working in concert, transmitting not only numbers, but facts, opinions, and discoveries. He imagined what we now call digital libraries. He even warned of the darker side, fears of surveillance, information theft, and the chaos of too much knowledge in unprepared hands. The twist? His machines were never finished. The British government grew tired of funding his endless experiments, and his critics mocked him as a dreamer. By the time he died in 1871, Babbage was remembered more as a crank than a prophet. His analytical engine, the forerunner of the modern computer, gathered dust in the archives. His predictions of a world connected by invisible networks were forgotten. And yet, when the first true computer networks flickered to life in the 20th century, when messages began hopping from node to node across oceans, scientists opened his manuscripts and gasped. There it was, written in Victorian ink, the blueprint for the internet. Man dismissed as a failed inventor had, in fact, glimpsed our future with almost terrifying clarity. Today, every time you send a message, scroll through endless feeds, or stream a video across the globe in seconds, you are living inside Babbage's vision. He never saw it built, never watched it change the world, but he dreamed it in a century that could barely grasp the idea of electricity. So the question lingers: was Charles Babbage simply a genius far ahead of his time? Or did he see something in the 1800s that we still don't fully understand?